For work or for play?
Both.
Okay. Hi, it's Alex from StadlerCon. It's September, and there's the littlest whisper each morning of chill in the air, which has me kind of putting myself back together. I'm so programmed by that scholastic schedule that every September my brain reconfigures after its August sloth and starts coming up with new plans and schemes. I'm also thinking about school, going back to school, and of course cake. I loved Harriet the Spy and still do, and if you haven't read it in a while, go back and reread it, if only for the pleasure of thinking about the fact that Harriet every afternoon has cake and milk. Old Golly makes for her cake and a glass of milk, which to me, when I first read it, seemed like the height of luxury. It actually still does. And a little Kaffee and Kuchen, a little 4 o'clock cake and coffee, is still a very civilized way to sort of mark the middle of your day. This cake, which takes its inspiration from Edna Lewis, my guide in all things culinary, is a riff on that idea of a simple, plain cake. It's not even really a riff. It is, in fact, a simple, plain cake. In a world where Doritos have 7,000 flavors and every restaurant presents a dish to with 6 million dishes and a coulis de tomate on the side, this cake is beautifully, wonderfully plain. It is a vanilla cake, and as such can be doctored up or tarted up in myriad ways, which we'll talk about a little later. The other beauty of this cake is that it all takes place in this bowl and this pan. So if you were someone who was a busy mom or dad, and you wanted to make a lovely bit of homemade cake for your tiny little person, you could do it without creating a great ruckus in the kitchen. It's a simple way to think of yourself as a wonderfully old-fashioned and delightful parent. Take 1 3/4 cups of flour, dump in a bowl, then a cup of sugar, add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then, I have to check. I put this recipe in a book that I wrote and illustrated, and of which I am inordinately proud, called Beverly Billingsley Takes the Cake. And in the back of Beverly Billingsley Takes the Cake, we had an extra flap page, so we put this recipe, Beverly Billingsley's Busy Day Cake. This book is out of print, but go get it on Amazon because it's really good. It's the only book I ever did that when it was done I thought, oh no, that one was really good. The others I always wanted to fix. So we need 1 3/4 teaspoons of baking powder. One half quarter. Mix up your dries to get everybody blended together. Maybe a whisk is a better tool. Then we have a stick of butter. I forgot to say, the only little bit of planning with this cake is that you put the butter out that morning or the night before, so that when it's time to make your cake, your butter is nice and soft. Cut it into little pieces. Chop, chop, chop. Put that in your bowl. 2 eggs. 1 and 2. 1. 2. Remove the tiny dog hair that fell in the bowl. And 1/2 cup of milk. Then stir. It will splash up at you at first, but don't worry about it. Start it slowly. You'll think that it's a little too dry, but it isn't. Oh, and we forgot a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. The vanilla, as my cousin Claire used to say, is very important. It's going to perfume the whole cake. So 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. and then stir. We're going to stir for 2 to 3 minutes. The nice strong thing, you could also use a beater if you're feeling like using a beater. You'll watch your lumps of butter gradually amalgamate into your batter. Milk in the batter, milk in the batter. We bake cake and nothing's the matter. It's Children's Book Day here at Stadler Con. That's from Night Kitchen, the nudie little book from Maurice Sendak, which got burned in libraries. People lit that book on fire. Think about that. Okay, stir and stir. You don't have to watch me stir, but we're going to come back in 2 seconds after I've been really stirring for 2.5 minutes. And we're going to put this cake in the pan. So, back in a tick. I'm back. Stir, stir, stir. You'll doubt me, but look, it becomes luscious and satiny smooth in just maybe 2 minutes if you've got a good forearm, 3 if you don't. But this is also, you think, oh, as you're making a cake, I love you, I love you, I love you, and you bake all of that into the batter. That's a little spell from me. It doesn't replace hugs and kisses, but it doesn't hurt. All right, so then we've saved our butter wrapper. Remember my cousin Sarah's trick? Save the butter wrapper, grease the pan. Always grease the pan. Nothing more dismaying than a cake that got stuck in its pan. Although you can always just serve it right out of the cake pan and sort of scrape it out. Make it work. But it's a happy thing to have your cake pop out of the pan. So grease it, get in the little nooks and crannies that hold the melted butter. Woo! And then dump your cake batter into the pan. And it goes. It is a sort of a wonderful, it's like the consistency of cloudy honey, and the color actually of cloudy honey. Silky, satiny. Get all the little bits in honor of people who aren't having cake today. Smooth it out a little bit, push it into the corners. It's a stiff batter, so it won't go there naturally. You have to kind of tuck it in. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's your cake. That's going to go into an oven, which you have preheated at 350 spicy little degrees, and it's going to cook for about 35 to 40 minutes until when you stick a toothpick in it, the toothpick comes out clean. You could use a metal shish kebab skewer if you have one of those lying around. So we're going to place this in the oven, and then I'm going to come back with a pretend cake that's supposed to be this cake. So this cake, golden and beautiful, is delicious, served up like this, plain, on a plate. But if you're feeling fun, or if you've made it 6 times and you're bored, whip up a little bit of cinnamon sugar, just like you did for pancakes or waffles. Maybe a half a teaspoon to a 1/4 cup, and sprinkle it over the top. And you have cinnamon sugar cake, or take a little bit of dulce de leche. I'm gouging away with my fingers at this cake. Take a little bit of dulce de leche, smear it over the top, and you have caramel cake. Pour yourself a cup of coffee since you're a grown-up and you don't drink milk anymore. Delish. And sit down for 10 minutes and have coffee and Kuchen, coffee and cake, and think of Harriet. She was a latchkey kid, but she did all right. Stop by Stadler Con sometime this fall. We have extraordinary things to show you. Bye.